The Boston Celtics acquired Anfernee Simons for Drew Holiday, and now they're trying to flip him. I'm not surprised, but is the Bulls really a good landing fit for Anfernee Simons? Let's talk about it.
This is your home for all things Chicago Bulls. Join the conversation. You're listening to Chicago Bulls Nation.
What is going on, Bulls Nation? So the free agency is in full effect, and the Bulls just re-signed Trey Jones. But it's not a bad deal, honestly. But one of the things that, or the rumors that caught my eye was Anfernee Simons, who's a bucket. You know, make no mistake about it. The Celtics just acquired this guy, and the Celtics they're just trying to shed some salary right now, however they could. So by acquiring the proposed deal was Simons for Vucevic, which is not bad on the surface, right? Vucevic is expiring. Simons is expiring. Simons is a bit more expensive, I believe, like $6 million more expensive than Vuce, which is not a big deal. But if you are a tax team, you know that's like the 12 million savings right there. What I don't like is the idea that we still have to pay some draft compensation to get Simons. I'm not cool with that. Because honestly, with Simons being 27 mil, he is expiring, so I really don't want to pay the guy long term, to be quite honest with you, even though he's a bucket. Because you know what? We do have a bucket in this team. His name is Kobe White. He's actually taller. He's 6'5". Simons is 6'3". Now, Simons is an athlete. He can jump out of the building. You know, he's an athlete, but he's also not a good shooter. You know, he can shoot the ball, but it's not like a Kobe White type of a shooter. With that being said, if the goal is to get Simons and ship off Kobe White for, you know, like a Jonathan Kuminga, are we going back to the 90s here? Because we need shooting on this team. And, you know, you can see Simons shooting the ball here. But, like, again, it's not a floor spacer. You know, if you get Simons and Kuminga in both teams, and then you got Matas Buzelis, I mean, the spacing is not really going to be that well. You know, for a team that we're trying to build, like the space and pace, I don't think that is what we're trying to aim for. Now, if you are going to get Simons as a hired gun, for example, coming off the bench with Kobe White, then that would be lethal. Or if you're completely going to skip Jonathan Kuminga altogether, I would still want Cam Whitmore before this too, honestly, because his salary is controlled as well. You get him for 2 years. That will be a little bit more expensive probably for the Bulls and harder to achieve. However, I'm just not a fan of this trade. I mean, like I said, if it's a straight for Vooch, you give Boston Celtics the savings that they're looking for, cool. Don't give them draft compensation, even though it's second pick, even though it's a second rounder. We barely have any second rounders. You know, like we just drafted Jack, I forgot his name. I don't know his name yet, but you know, the one from Australia, he might be a good rotation guy. Like, to be quite honest with you, I feel like drafting in the second round is better for AK than higher picks. You know what we saw with Jack, with Patrick Williams. And then after that, I think we had Dalen Terry at 18. Matas Buzelis you know, I guess I gotta give him credit for that, even though Matas just basically just landed on their lap because he just fell off the draft and, you know, the Bulls just happened to be there. But again, maybe I give them credit because they could still screw that up theoretically, but to be honest with you, it just landed on their lap. But on the second round, they drafted Ayo Dosunmu. He drafted Nikola Jokic in the second round. Also, Julian Phillips is a good player out of the second round, you know, so a good bargain there. So there is value in the second pick. So I don't want to give that up for Anfernee Simons, which is, you know, redundant to Kobe White. Let's just put it this way. If the plan is to trade Kobe because Simons is going to be your new shooting guard, I'm not up for that. I'd rather pay Kobe. I'm not even being a Kobe homer here. You've seen my videos in the past. Kobe has limitations, but so is Anfernee Simons. You know, he's not a good defender. He doesn't have size. He's athletic, maybe more athletic than Kobe. But, you know, in the modern NBA, Kobe is much more important because of his shooting, He can go to the rim as well. It's not like Kobe can't jump. He dunked on Wemby. He can go to the line. Again, if you're gonna trade Kobe, I'm okay with that. If you don't want to pay the guy, but don't make Anfernee Simons as your backup. Like if you want to do that, fine. Put Ayo as your shooting guard. Pay him maybe like $15 million next year, like the mid-level. I don't know. Go with, because Ayo at least can defend, and then put Kuminga and I don't even know what they're. But I'm not for Anfernee Simons. He just gives you Zach LaVine vibes, which is putting up good numbers, not on a winning situation, but shorter. I'm not on board with that. But let me know in the comments, how do you feel about the Simmons to the Bulls? I know it's only for Vooch, but I'm just not a fan of the move. But let me know in the comments. The Bulls still hasn't made any moves. They haven't even resigned Giddey yet. So maybe they're gearing up for a blockbuster here. Who knows? But thank you for watching. If you're a Bulls fan, please subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.